Today's podcast being brought to you by the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival Committee. On episode 3 today, we have Susan Kokas joining us in the studios. Welcome, Susan. And we're going to just start things off by asking you to do just a brief introduction to yourself and let us know what committees you're on and so forth. But we'll get to all those questions later. So let's begin.
Well, first of all, hello, wonkers. I don't still know what that wonk means. So if we have ever... Oh, we still haven't figured it out yet? Okay. We'll figure that out one day. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I'm really excited about this because I do have a lot to discuss today as well. So getting to what we had discussed, I guess there was, or what you'd asked, there's years of building up to this moment. And it's something, obviously, that, I never really dreamed about. But putting into certain situations, and one of them was coming back to Wetaskiwin after being many years away, that I came back to see that I wasn't very happy with my city anymore. And so I decided to make a change. And I kind of looked around and asked around and saw a few things that I felt were missing, and found some like-minded people and put it into a positive spin, and here we are today. And I would actually like to just say as well that Dale Atchison here and Justin Littlechild, the first time that I actually met them was right here in this gallery / studio. And we've come a long way in a year. So I want to thank you both for being part of my vision. Literally. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks for letting us be part of it, actually. You have started a little thing called the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival. It premiered, so to speak, last summer, and you've got it going again this year. So this is going to be an annual event, correct?
Yes.
How many artists and musicians did we have last year?
We had approximately, good question now, 50 musicians and probably about the same in artists.
Wow.
Yes, we were very impressed, and part of the, I want to say shock, because in a sense I was shocked that there was that many local artists.
Yeah, I was just going to say, who knew, right?
Who knew, yes.
Well, that's one thing definitely that the Arts Music Festival is going to showcase is, like this podcast, is just local talent. Do you care to elaborate on what you're going to be doing this year? Is there anything new coming up? Or?
Well, kind of my thing is Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival 2.0, which is a step above one, obviously. And kind of what I'm saying is bigger and better. But bigger and better doesn't always mean... Well, bigger doesn't always mean better, I guess. I think that the quality of the artists that we have here in Wetaskiwin are showing themselves with pride. And it's not really to me that we need more artists. We would just like to have the artists, including the musicians, to expand and feel very comfortable to better themselves and show more of what they have, be more creative.
You had talked about when we had met the last time, the first time we had met was right here. That day when you had the idea on paper, when you had that idea in your mind, how did you take that idea from paper and turn it into reality? Who helped you? What was the kind of deciding point that said, you know what, this needs to come to life, and who's going to help me put this together? And did you have a lot of support behind that from the community at first?
I do love that question because I often think back about that day and the day that I decided to make it a reality rather than just, like you said, from a piece of paper. And I there was a Facebook post that Dale had here at Delcon, and I'd never been in this store before. And he was having Day One, who was an Indigenous artist, famous actually, Indigenous artist, and I had looked at his Facebook page and I saw some of his work and I thought, oh, I'm going to go see that, because that will eventually kind of lead into when I left university and went to Florida, which we can get into, but that opened my eyes up to the diversity, and I used to go to galleries. I actually worked in a gallery, and I actually did some modeling myself for nude modeling at a gallery for some very famous kids, but youth. So the day that happened, I came in here and I was just like, wow. I came into Delcon Visual and I went, wow, this is in Wetaskiwin, Main Street. And Day One was here painting, and I saw the painting I wanted, and I literally bought it that night. And because I do buy a lot of art, and I prefer local artists. And so that's when I first introduced myself to Dale, and we ran into a very easy conversation, very, very easy conversation, because I said, man, we need more of this. I didn't know you were here, and it just became like we had known each other forever and we're on the same page. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to do something about this. We got to have like gallery openings and get people to come in. And he's like, yeah, well, I've been trying. And I said, well, then we're going to try some more. And then I believe you, Justin, walked in the door at that same time. And we just all were so on the same page. The energy, the positive energy was just, it was palpable. And the both of you actually solidified that evening for me that it was going to happen. I was going to make it happen if I had to just do it myself. And so asking about the people that involved with it, so the two of you had agreed yes. And I thought, okay, well, there's two people, so I'm not alone in this. There's other people that feel the same way. And so as I actually do work for a living, I'm a housekeeper. I was out cleaning a house a couple days later, and there was a gentleman downstairs fixing a bathroom while I was upstairs cleaning one. And somehow we just got to talking, and I said, this is what I'm doing. I was at Delcon Visual the other night, and I'm going to get a festival going on in this town because it needs something. Because it appears through social media, the negativity, that there's nothing to do around here than sit at home and bitch on the couch, right? So it ended up that person was Riley Moore, who is the lead singer for Red Canoe. And at that moment, I went, this is not a mistake. There is no coincidence here. This was meant to be. I have 4 people now that want to be involved in this. So then it went from there. It went from there, and we ended up having our first meeting here at Delcon, and it was exciting. It was exciting. Ron Asp, a famous photographer in town, was here, and Dale was here, and Susan Spiker, who actually is an artist facilitator, was here, and I was like, wow. And speaking of wow, Carolyn Dillabow from Wow Wetaskiwin was here. I asked her to come, and so that was reality. Reality started right there. We picked a time and a day, and Bob Cunningham, which Dale actually connected me with, who's our visual arts guy. So there it is. There was the seed planted, and this is the beautiful, beautiful tree that is growing from that.
Another great answer to another great question. And the reason I ask that question is because I love to hear how an idea comes to life and all the passion and all the energy behind it and everybody that helped. And you chose a particularly beautiful backdrop for this particular festival, and that is By the Lake Park, which is a gem here in Wetaskiwin. What made you want to choose By the Lake Park? Of all the venues available, was it just that it expresses just so much beauty and nothing much really happens there, I don't think. Is that what made it stand out for you?
So that actually is a good question, and because I'm kind of like go big or go home. And my idea kind of originally was having it out at the Gwyn Ski Hill, Thunder in the Valley, and not of the motorcycle Thunder. And I thought, oh, what a cool venue that is. Just sound and art and music and a beautiful reverberating through the valley in the water. And I'm just like, wow. And living in Florida, I know what the sound of music sounds like coming across the water. It just travels for miles. It's just, to me, it was like, yeah. And then I looked around town, and there wasn't a whole lot of other places. And then I did finally walk through by the lake park and looked at it from a different point of view, not from a walker. But I went, this is perfect. There's different regions, there's different geography, and kind of my original plan was, and it kind of narrowed it down, I wanted to have artists all around the walkways. So when you walk around the park, you can stop and play guitar, listen to someone play guitar. You can make some chalk paint or a birdhouse, paint a birdhouse and put it up. So my vision originally was kind of walk around the park, and I believe at our meeting we did discuss that, but kind of the logistics of it is in the end was that's really not feasible. So then I started looking at by the lake park that was accessible and what was feasible, and we had the power, literally electric power, and we had the venue, the building itself. And a playground and a balcony and water, literally, just the beauty of it. Definitely, that was a bonus, and it was able to get. My vision was build it and they will come, and there will be thousands. And so I wanted to make sure, if it was as big a success as that I had in my own potential delirious mind at the time, that we wanted to have room for that, just for people to sit and to enjoy, and to bring a tent and put up an umbrella and have a picnic and the whole bit. So by the lake park was not my first choice, but I think it was the perfect choice.
Absolutely, and now into its second year, with the first festival passing and succeeding. From your perspective, when you were reaching out to people to be a part of this, how was the response and how was the community support? Were you overwhelmed? Did you say like, wow, I have so many, I don't know if I could fit everybody into this festival. I might have to bump some people. Did you have that response? Yes,
absolutely. And one thing that was actually brought up, and that was by the musicians. I love that. Not necessarily the artists, but the musicians in the group was like, oh, can we have it for 2 days? Saturday and Sunday? And I'm like, what? No. No. But see, and that's kind of what collaboration and discussions is about for me, is because they brought an idea forward that I never even thought of. And I nixed it immediately because I'm like, I don't know if I could handle 1 day. Let alone having it for 2. So the response, I don't think I want to use the word overwhelmed. I think I was surprised that we put it out there on a Facebook page, and literally within a month we had 300 people.
Do you remember at any point during the festival last year, what was the point where you said, we're going to do this again next year? Do you remember having a moment like that, like just sitting back, having kind of a moment of clarity and saying, this is going to be a thing? We're going to have this again and again, and as much as we can and as much as they let us?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because I don't know if there was ever an aha moment. But I will tell you that when I had a broken wrist that whole time. I broke it, I think, a week or 2 before that. So literally lame duck, and a little bit in pain, and I won't say fear, because I didn't feel any fear of failure, because I just had the group of people around me, and I'm confident enough in myself to go, okay, well, that didn't work. But I think when I was sitting in my chair, and there was, I can't even remember who was playing. It might have been Heavy Feather because they were like pretty very different. And I like that. That's the whole concept to me of diversity. But I'm looking up there and I'm like, wow, look what we have here. Look what's here. We are now listening to Heavy Feather, an indigenous band that are rocking the shit out of this place. And just coming off of a 3-string duet. I'm like, wow. And then I looked over and I saw people walking by, and then people were coming up to me, and then I saw the mayor. And then I saw Dave Burgess, our city manager. And then I saw some of the council. And then I saw my relatives. And then I saw my friends. And I'm like, wow. And I went and bought mini donuts and literally sat down and went, this is happening, and it is good.
One of the things that I enjoyed seeing was looking out there and seeing kids dancing and seeing people enjoy it. And that could have been their first concert. You know, nobody knows. And to share that experience with our festival and with the bands that are up there is, I think, something that's very special and will definitely be remembered, because not a lot of people get that kind of music through their community and get that involvement. So that'll be something that will touch people for quite a while. Now, this festival is very well put together, so I just want to tell you that. And do you want to thank anybody in particular, any member of your team, for their role in creating the festival? Anybody that went kind of above and beyond, and everybody that pitched in?
Well, it's our festival. And I'm going to also just make a comment about something that you also said about dancing. And when you watch that video that Bob Cunningham and Dan, I watched it so many times, and every time I saw something different. And I'll tell you, there's 2 or 3 things on that video that I cry. I'm not joking. It brings me to tears. And the first one is the smudging, because we are on Treaty 6 land. And I am so deeply respectful of the fact that we are honored enough to have the opportunity to be on this land. And so that was being respectful, completely to me, of being respectful. And then there was a second part when the little old lady was rocking it. She was letting go of that, and I'm just like, whoa. I kept saying to Bob, I love that, I love that, I love that. Great capture, because that's exactly it. And then little kids dancing. And then the third part of it, to validate it, was when Riley at the end, somewhere near the end, he said, and this isn't verbatim, but he said something about, oh yeah, we're going to keep doing this, and then we're going to pass it on to the next generation. Again, that moved me, because that, to answer your question, is yes, we are going to do this until nobody wants to do it anymore. And I should have said at the very beginning that I want to thank my city. First and foremost, my city of Wetaskiwin.
So is there anybody in particular at the city, aside from the mayor, anybody there that actually helped you out the most, or just the overall general thank you?
Well, of course, there's a general thank you. You know, let's lay a blanket over the entire city of everyone. The fire department, we couldn't have done this without the fire department. AHS isn't the city, but technically they're still, you know, with the food vendors. We needed all that done. But I want to do, I guess, the biggest shout out to the Recreation Department, Kevin Lucas, and Byron Olson from Public Works. They, I'm getting goosebumps. They, again, have really gone, they went so, they came with me. That's all I can really tell you, is that they came with me. And they didn't really say, no, you can't, because I think they knew that I was going to do it anyways, as long as it was not going to, you know, start an electrical fire out there by putting a tent peg in where it was not supposed to be. So, and Kevin Lucas also, on his time, on his dime, made us that banner. And that banner it signified the generosity to me of what so many people have done for us. So the city blanketed, but there's a couple of those that, and that's Kevin and Byron and Leah McGee, also from the city, and Man Alexander, who gave us some meeting rooms. So there's a lot, but those two for sure.
If people have watched the video or haven't watched the video, you can tell the different musicians that were there. There was country, there was folk, there was a trio of stringed instruments. There was a gentleman playing the violin or the fiddle, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm. The Acadian fiddle.
That boy can play.
Yes, he can.
So there's more than just rock and roll, which nothing wrong with that, but there's country. There's all types of music, and that's what we are trying to encourage, is to get the diversity of, what's the word I'm looking for, musicianship. Come show your stuff. Show us what you have. Show us what's available.
Absolutely. And one other thing, too, and again about diversity, and with me just kind of sitting, reading, thinking, Googling, when I got my own time, and one of them was, what are all the arts? And I was really, I was kind of taken aback when I saw things, and that's actually why I eventually invited the Taekwondo, because it's called martial arts, and so it's like, yes, there's something else that we opened it up to, and they were a hit. They were a huge hit, and he already PM'd me and said, hey, we're coming back. Can we come back? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. And that's kind of the bigger and better, because now there's already going to be the established artists that want to come back, and artists as in musicians, and there was yoga. There was authors there. We actually have famous local authors. It's things like that are just, we're hoping to get more of that.
That's one thing I was really impressed by, was the eclectic array of art you have. I'm just trying to sound smart there. The eclectic array of art that you have at the festival. There's literally something for everybody. You could come down and bring every member of your family, and every member of your family would have something there that they would just love and totally be behind. Now, leaning on to that kind of a question, for somebody who hasn't been to the festival, couldn't make it last year, and they're planning on being at Bud Lake Park June 23rd of this year, 2018. I know it's a ways away. You might not have anything planned yet, but what can a person expect, a first-timer? Maybe somebody that's new to town, too, because we do have a lot of new people kind of that come to town. What would they expect from an afternoon at the Arts and Music Festival?
Well, I know that it was funny. The first thing that popped up into my head, and I actually wrote it down, was food. We don't want to forget the guys and the gals that come out with food, because that's a draw. That is a draw. And so, for starters, the beauty of By the Lake Park, because it is not just a walking trail. It is a nature experience. It has a playground. It has a beautiful lake. It has fishing. It has a lot to offer. That is a really good question, and I think it's partially to say that we advertise things like this right here is going to be something that you can listen to and find out what it's about, so that you might have enough curiosity to come out.
But I think that's what makes the festival so unique, is that it's localized and brings the community together, and you can really showcase kind of these artists that maybe people don't get the chance to see on a regular basis, because they might not be in the in the places performing that some of the more well-known artists are performing. And when everybody's in one complete spot, you can go and you can see everything all in a whole day, which is just fantastic to me, because you can cover so much ground.
I want to ask everybody that's listening to come out to the Jubilee Park on Canada Day that are not doing anything, because we are going to be having some local musicians and which we haven't confirmed yet, but they are local. And we are going to have artists. So after the June 23rd at By the Lake Park, Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival, we are going to have a follow-up with July 1st at the Diamond Jubilee Park for Canada Day. So we are looking forward to both of those. And I guess to end it off, I want to see as many people coming out to Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival as we can this year. We had a great weather last year, and I am not a religious person. I am a spiritual person, but I'm going to be lighting some fires and making some smoke and just asking whatever gods are out there and goddesses to make it another beautiful day, and I have the trust that it will be. So, and it will be rain or shine. We're going to work on a couple of different ideas this year with our bands, because the balcony was a little tough for some people last year, and we heard you. We heard you when it was brought to our attention, and so we'll have a little bit of changes, but we're going to have the same food. There are some other people or some other food trucks, and you had actually asked me that earlier, and we are looking for possibly Native Delights or a food truck because we want to keep it local. Day. It's going to be another great day, and we're going to have a poster out again. We do have our Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival page on Facebook, so please like us, ask questions, comments. We do accept criticism, but we're pretty sure there isn't going to be any. Just come out and show us what you got. Come out and support us, and we look forward to seeing you. And hey, you never know, you might if you want to squeeze in and do a little song, we're always open to that too.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan, for joining us. We had a great chat with you today. Once again, that's the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival taking place Saturday, June 23rd, 2018 at By the Lake Park. My name is Justin Littlechild, co-host here, Dale Aitchison.
Thanks, Justin. I just got one more thing to add. I'd also like to say a big thank you to the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival Committee for becoming one of our sponsors as of recent.
I want to send out the hugest thank you to every one of our sponsors. How could I ever even have forgotten that? We could not have done this without them. We are a not-for-profit, so it's not going in the pockets of us. It's going to the porta potties that we need to have for AHS to make people comfortable also, and that is also their wheelchair. So we're inviting everybody. We are fully accessible. So our sponsors, they rock. They rock it. We couldn't do it without them.
So just to let everybody know, the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival does have a Facebook page, and you look it up under the Wetaskiwin Arts Music Festival. I don't believe you have a website at this time, but you're probably going to be working on that in the future. Other than that, everybody, thanks for listening, and have yourselves a great day. Thanks again, Susan, and let's call it a night.
My pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Once again, we'd like to mention that today's podcast was brought to you by the Wetaskiwin Arts and Music Festival Committee.